Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Finance Karen. My former employer's rulebook says they would reimburse 45 pence per mile if somebody with a gas car needs to drive to the office, but only 11p per mile to EV drivers, even though you could argue that running costs are comparable if you factor in the higher price of an EV. So petrol car ownership is a money spinner, as most cost far less than 45p per mile to run. But with the recent increase in electricity prices, my EV now costs about 13p per mile to run if I charge it at home, or almost 25p per mile if I use a public charger. So no grifting profit for me. Finance Karen told me that's government's rules and to look it up if I didn't like it. So I did. I found that technically my car is a hybrid, even though it's all electric to the wheels. It has a generator, which I could fill with 8 liters of petrol to recharge the battery and extend the electric range. I rarely use it, but it's a loophole I'm willing to exploit, since company rules don't mention hybrids. But the holier than thou government rules say it's counted as a petrol car for the purposes of reimbursement. So I could drive to work for 13p per mile using only electric. But they'd have to reimburse me 45p per mile, as if it were a petrol car. Government rules. But there's more. When I pointed this out, Finance Karen said that because I live less than an hour from the office, I don't qualify for the reimbursement at all. And she was right. If I was traveling to work at the time of day that she googled my address, it would take less than an hour. But if they wanted me to commute at rush hour, it would be 5 minutes over the threshold. Finance Karen rejected my expenses claim, of course. I talked through all of this with my manager with the help of Google Maps, and he went over her head and approved it, saying there are either rules or there are not. Karen can't just bend them to suit her. So I won. A petty victory. The next story is called Separate Bags. So where I work, part of my job involves getting specific numbers of specific parts of the shelves and giving them to my coworkers to assemble. The other day, one fellow in particular, let's call him Luke, came to me. Hey, you know when you pull these 4 parts from here and these other parts from over there? They look the same, but those 4 are a little different inside. They need to go in set spots, so I'm wasting time peering closely to identify them. Can you put those 4 in a separate bag? Sorry, didn't think of that. Sure. So the next time I got one of those sets for him, I made sure to do exactly as he said. Each one of those 4 parts was in a tiny Ziploc bag, and the 4 of them together were in a bigger Ziploc bag. And just for good measure, all of the parts in that group wound up in an even bigger Ziploc bag. A little bit later he comes back and finds me again. Hey, yes? I know it was you. They don't all need to be in their own separate bags, inside a bigger bag, inside a bigger bag. You wanted them separate, and it was just for this time. Yeah, and I knew right away it was deliberate, and I laughed. Good job. Future sets will be done the way he actually wanted. What's funny once as a joke would quickly become tedious. The third story is called Can't Read. Many moons ago, I worked contract for a medical placement company in the employee health department of a rack and pinion steering plant. The plant was scheduled to close, but they were still hiring. It was a head scratcher for us too, and extra help was needed for drug screens on the new hires. The other duties were seeing to injuries as they occurred, setting up appointments with the doctor on days he would come, flu shots, and then there was the project. The project was a collection of every medical piece of paper in that plant. All of them, scattered in boxes, stacked to the ceiling. No sense of order at all. 2 of the veteran nurses would periodically adjourn down to the war room, as it was dubbed, to do whatever they did with the mess. I was enlisted to help one day and succeeded in only managing to screw up the Excel spreadsheet they were using to attempt to collate this mess. On days when we were slow, if we had no patience, I'd stay at my post and read. And one of those days, the boss lady came by and decided to take umbrage at that hobby. I should add that if I was reading, everything was stocked, all other projects were done, and I'd already been yelled at for sweeping up after myself. I'd really rather you not do that. I need you doing work. It looks bad. Okay, what else needs to be done? After she looks around at all I've done, nothing. You are done. Just don't read. So I said, but I'm not a good sitter. Fast forward, she gets sick and a temporary boss comes in. I get assigned the project. It takes a minute, but I get it whipped into shape. First, I sorted papers into folders by name. Then I organized by dates on papers, passed to recent in each file. Then I alphabetized the folders and put them in boxes. What had taken the other two nurses months on end took me a few weeks. After that, I started a new Excel spreadsheet. Data entry is one of my favorite things, and I'm fast. I was blowing through 20 to 30 boxes a day. I only took lunch and bathroom breaks. The boss comes back from sick leave, walks in and goes pale. What happened? Nothing. I've been working super hard. Is it not done right? It's great, but it's gone. Yes, ma'am. I've made decent progress. She hem-hawed around and finally muttered, I need you to slow down. Sorry? I need you to slow down. We told them we needed at least X amount of time to complete that project, and as fast as you've gone, there won't be any work left to do. So, what else can I do? Do a box, read a book. Do a box and take a nap. Just slow down. Bring your book or several books. Just slow down. And that's how I got permission to read in my downtime at work. The next story is called Telco Call. My dad has been working in IT for at least 30 years at this point and received a clearly outsourced telemarketing call from one of the handful of major telcos in my country. I couldn't hear both sides, but here's some of what he said to the person on the phone. You are telling me my internet is not up to speed because you are able to read my IP address. So what's my IP address? No, that's not my IP address. No, it would have to be my public IP. Otherwise, what's the point of it being private? I know my IP address. No, of course it's not the same. VP4 and VP6 are not the same. You've been given a script and it's false advertising that you know my speed is not up to standard. I will not change to telco. What's the mark of speed and how do you absorb it? You told me you know. I'm not going to tell you. I work in IT as well. You said you know, but you don't. That's a false statement and you can make false statements in advertising. I don't need to check it. You need to tell me. That was finally enough for the other end to hang up. The last story is called Not As Bad. It was autumn 2019, shortly after the first frost, and our cat brings us a mouse. We take a picture and report it to maintenance. They check out the apartment, see no poop, set a trap and tell us to let them know if it happens again. A few nights later we get another mouse, and then the next night we get 2 more mice. We call maintenance. They claim to have found the issue behind the stove. They patch it and leave. We get another mouse. They claim there's an issue by our washer and dryer, and they patch that. Then there are more mice. We request a professional exterminator daily, and they refuse. Eventually, maintenance gets sick of our calls. We've never got a mouse in our trap, and there's no mouse poop. The only evidence of mice is our pictures of 16 mice with our cat over time. So the maintenance guy comes up with a clever idea. He says next time we get a mouse we need to keep it and bring it to the main office. They can study it and figure out where it's coming from. My husband and I know that's just not how mice work. The landlord doesn't want to pay an exterminator, and they don't believe the issue is as bad as it is. It's time for a little malicious compliance. A night or 2 later, we get a mouse. We put it in a garbage can in the tub until morning. Unfortunately, the little guy didn't make it through the night. In the morning, we bag our friend and head to the leasing building. The apartment manager is there, as are several families waiting to begin a tour of the complex. We explain to our landlord about the now 17 mice and how we are now supposed to personally deliver each mouse to her. She looks at my husband horrified, grabs her cell phone and heads to our back room. We can hear her screaming at the maintenance guy about his request. In the meantime, we are explaining to her potential tenants the issues we've been facing. A couple of minutes later, she returns, tosses the mouse in the garbage and says they'll be paying a professional exterminator to take a look at the building. The exterminator found hundreds of entry points that get taken care of. That was the last mouse we've ever had in that apartment. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.